Mariana found the refrigerator empty and unplugged it. After removing the minimal amount of sugar from the jar, she added sweetness to the coffee. She had no food, which was why she was weeping. There was a knock on the door at that very moment. They left her an envelope with her name on it, but when she opened it, nobody was there. That scene was repeated after she discovered money. She and her husband had been through 1,000 hardships since the death of their son, Martin, so they were eager to find out who was looking after them. They were shocked to learn the truth. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. An elderly couple named Bernardo and Mariana had lost their only son, a young engineer who had supported his parents financially until a tragic event that resulted in his death a year prior. From an early age, Bernardo was trained in the carpentry trade. Due to their extreme poverty, the boy's father, who also worked with wood, decided to teach him how to work rather than send him to school. The youngster first sanded and varnished, but when he was around 12, they started teaching him how to carve objects. He eventually became his father's right hand, and the father was quite pleased with the young man. They produced furniture, but their specialty was creating beloved wooden toys for kids. For them, December was the best month since that's when parents buy their handcrafted gifts to give to their kids for Christmas. Bernardo was orphaned when he was barely 15 years old and inherited the task of taking care of his mother. He continued to pay for the house. Because they did not think the teenager could work with the same quality that his father did, some clients moved away. A stunning young woman, who he ultimately found to be the most beautiful woman in the world, knocked on his door at the last minute of Christmas. It was Mariana, and she was in dire need of finding her nephew a toy. Bernardo took advantage of the occasion and extended an invitation for her to visit the town's sole movie theater. Following that outing, they started dating, despite Mariana's parents' disapproval since they thought Bernardo was impoverished because their daughter attended prestigious schools. They did not, however, keep them apart, and a year later, they were wed. After a modest ceremony, the couple moved into Bernardo's home. Because of the traditional boy's refusal to let his wife continue her education at a university, she ended up being a homemaker. Mariana conceived 2 years after the wedding. Actually, she was ecstatic since she had been longing for a child. After receiving the news with joy, Bernardo set to work carving their son's crib and creating exquisite furniture for the tiny room they would be furnishing. They decided to name the infant after St. Martin since, despite their lack of wealth, he was born on that day. While Mariana gave her full attention to her kid, her mother-in-law, and her husband, Bernardo carried on with his construction business. She had decided to put her studies on hold out of love, but she persuaded Bernardo that Martin needed a strong intellectual background in order for him to have a brighter future. When the boy reached adulthood, the father was certain that the wisest course of action would be for him to acquire the carpenter trade so that he could support himself. When the time came, they enrolled him in a reputable school after Mariana was able to persuade him that the youngster needed to study. Because tuition was expensive, Bernardo started to put forth more effort. Martin took advantage of his parents' sacrifices and made them proud by earning high marks. Mariana, in particular, was confident that her son would succeed because he was bright, hardworking, and, most importantly, very responsible. Although Bernardo did not share his wife's joy for their son's accomplishments, he did not fully appreciate the impact that a strong academic background may have on a person's life, because he had never experienced it in a classroom. Martin was growing up with a lot of moral principles in addition to his physical attributes. He was fond of reading and numbers. He worked with his father in the carpenter shop on the weekends. The customer was frequently taken aback by the child's acumen when they attended and completed the accounts without the need of a calculator. One of his strongest academic traits was his mental agility, and he knew at an early age that he wanted to be a civil engineer. Bernardo informed him that it was crucial for him to remember that their family was impoverished and struggling, and that attending college was not their goal. Nevertheless, Martin never gave up. The young child was the greatest of his generation when he graduated from school, thanks to his mother's support and his success on the entrance exam. His father experienced some health issues when the young man was in school because of the dust that came from working with wood. Martin, therefore, urged his father to close the shop once he secured a great job and took care of all household needs. The young man transformed the modest house into a middle-class one through remodeling. Naturally, his parents were very proud of him, since he was a very responsible young man and never let them be in danger. Because of his hard work, the company offered him a new car when he was 5 years old. He dedicated himself fully to every project that was assigned to him. Martin's life was made easier by the car, because those days were over when he would take public transportation and then get a taxi. However, it also turned into his route to suffering. He was killed when an inebriated driver struck him head-on on the road one evening as he was making his way home from work. His parents were inconsolable and perplexed as to why this terrible event was befalling them. Mariana screamed out for justice more than anyone. Because the road was deserted and no one observed the car, which made it easier for the man to escape, the authorities were unable to identify the offender. The scenario took a toll on the marriage and made Bernardo go back to work as a carpenter. But he was getting old, and toys had become obsolete in favor of electronic gadgets, so things were no longer as simple. When poverty was smothering him, he made tiny repairs to the neighbors' furniture and other odd jobs to get them by. Then money started to appear under the door of the house. While Mariana considered it a miracle, Bernardo vowed to track down the individual responsible. Bernardo made many hurried attempts to unlock the door, but it was ineffective because he was unable to locate anyone. He therefore made the decision to move into the empty lot in front of the house and install a sort of permanent camera. He stayed there for a full week, but his sponsor never made an appearance. But on the day he was ready to give up, he found a dapper young man hiding the money beneath the door, and he was stuck there again. He needed to come clean to Bernardo about why he was doing this. The boy's name was Marcos, and it was through him that Martin, his son, died. Mariana wanted to beat the young man after hearing his narrative, but she refrained when she found out that he had taken the day off because he wanted to drown his sorrows after the death of his parents. But he foolishly let Martin go before him. He contacted the modest couple after learning about them from the media, in the hopes that he might somehow undo the harm he had done to them. After Bernardo and Mariana expressed their gratitude and forgiveness, Marcos asked if they could adopt him as their son, so the three of them could cover for him. The couple was able to accept Marcos, who lived with them every weekend, and the adoption was symbolic. He paid the bills and made sure Martin's tomb was always visited. This is the end of the narrative, friends. Now let us know your thoughts on this one. Please respond in the comment section so that everyone may see it. We'll see you in our upcoming video. I appreciate you watching. Would you kindly like and post the video to social media? We'll respond to you as soon as we can. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.